From the heart of Kendall, Florida, it's Pass the Mic Podcast. Solutions for real-world problems with real-world people. And of course, those crazy people too. And now, your host, Eddie G.
What up, everybody? How's it going? It is another amazing day, another Thursday on Pass the Mic Podcast. Today is a special type of podcast. I know we are live and streaming on all of our platforms. Shout out to everybody who is tuned in right now. But today is a specifically very special day for Pass the Mic Podcast because this is the first virtual event that we're doing. So this is the first virtual stream or telecast that we're doing for everybody. And of course, we're bringing one of the most special guests I can think of. A big round of applause for my man, the one, the only DJ Konflikt. Konflikt, what's up, buddy?
Can you hear me? Okay?
Yeah, I hear you. There you go. There we go. All right, right on, man.
Good.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming into the studios. I hope you're enjoying yourself. It looks like you're sitting back at home, chilling. I know you have a crazy schedule, so we really want to thank you for coming in and spending a few moments with us to talk about all the new things and all the things that you have coming up and how you made your success and sharing it with the world. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love your studio.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. We're trying here. We're trying to make it happen during all this craziness. We like to try to, put our best foot forward. Like I was watching some of your videos, you were talking about how you started this when you were 8 years old. You had a choice between a go-kart or actually, a turntable, and you end up choosing a turntable. You started off doing regular events, house parties, and then you went into the club world, and then from there you kind of just you found your niche, doing all age parties. You ran into some promoters, and you were in the right place at the right time, and it just popped off for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. Thank you for doing research. But the only thing is, I was like 13 or 14. I wasn't.
13. Okay.
So I was
all right.
A little bit older. But still, I was lucky enough to catch something that I really like to do early enough, but not too early.
Right. Gotcha. And was it like a hard transition, or did anybody show you? I mean, you got the turntable, but did anybody show you?
Not really. YouTube wasn't a thing. We're talking about like 1999, 2000. So really, I had like some DMC championship VHS tapes and nothing else.
Okay.
So it was just a matter of trial and error.
What, like, you just basically turned on the turntable and you went on your own trying to figure out how to like BPMs, count them. Nobody showed you anything?
No, I didn't have in my mind, let me count BPMs. No, it's like the equivalent of finding an old guitar in the attic, and you're like, I'm going to learn to play it.
That's awesome, man. So you're self-taught completely from ground up.
Yeah, I never had anybody teach me anything.
Wow.
I watched people DJ sometimes, and I might have picked something up along the way.
Right.
But nobody ever sat there and explained to me how to DJ.
Dope. Where would you say that you made the pivot into like the professional world? Like you felt that I'm like a professional now.
Well, I mark it as being financially independent and not needing anything from your parents.
Right.
So I became a professional DJ at 22 years old when I moved out of my house and had my own apartment, and didn't rely on my mom for anything, not my phone payment, car payment, food, rent, nothing at all. That's when I would say, because there's no distinction in when you would be a professional, but to me that makes the most sense.
Okay, that makes good sense, man. Like as far as your talent or your skill, because man, you're super talented. I had this debate with M. Dot in the studio. Shout out to M. Dot. We were like, okay, I like Obscene, and he was like Konflikt, and I was like, yo, they're both like super awesome. They're on the same squad, and I wanted to know, have you guys ever gone at it? Have you ever battled, like behind the scenes?
We did.
Yeah?
Not behind the scenes. We did. We battled at I think it was the 2015
Oh, the three style.
Red Bull freestyle.
Yeah, the three style. Yeah, that's right. And what did you think? How did you feel like you performed that day?
Well, I sometimes think about. Sometimes I'm like brushing my teeth, and I'll think back to that day.
Okay.
Obscene. I had won local and regional battles here in South Florida like a few years before that, and then Obscene hopped in, and we were like, "Hey man, no matter what, like let's try to take first place and second place." And I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. I wanted to kind of have fun and
right.
In my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna do this like cool idea that I have and hopefully, win. It should be enough.
Right.
But Obscene was in there like, I'm going to crush everybody. So it was two different frames of mind approaching the same problem.
Gotcha.
And mine was cute and his was vicious and his won. And, I always think about what if I would have put in the full focus, brain power, skill, talent, idea to that set, and I still think that he might have won because he put together a really, really, really good set.
He did.
So we'll never know, but
you never done anything behind the scenes afterwards, though?
No.
No? Oh, all right.
We've played together a lot of times at clubs. We have fun.
Yeah.
When we're playing at the club, going back and forth with whatever DJ, you're not in a direct competition, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because if he has a good 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a better 15 minutes. And then and it's not so much about energy or playing the hits. It's just like, what did you do in your 15 minutes that was like cool and that made sense for the room? And then we try to augment, make it better. And then by the second hour, it's like, yo, this is a good party.
I've seen you guys on the gram, like hanging out and chilling, and like some of the funny videos you guys have done for the group.
That was for the Red Bull 3.
Yeah, that was it's cool seeing you guys going. There's something about like the DJ camaraderie that people have. Like I have certain guys that I can DJ with, and like the vibe, like what you're talking about, you can go back and forth, and you just have this vibe that it's like it's amazing. It's a chemistry almost like you're kind of one-upping each other, but at the same time, it's just like it's amazing. It's something magical that can only happen when you're doing it right then and there.
Well, it's called being in the pocket, and rock and roll bands talk about it. When everyone, there's 5-6 members of any given rock and roll band, and when you're all in the pocket, you're all playing, and there's perfect synergy, and everyone's hitting their beats, everyone's in time, everyone's on key. It's like you're in perfect unison. You're in the pocket, and it's difficult to achieve. But when you do it with somebody else, it's like, oh man, this is great. It's like a state of flow.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things. I don't know. It's been so hard for me to explain it. We do like these little, I guess these little summer bashes or whatever, like these little house things that we get a bunch of DJs together, and then we go at it on the turntables. Like we'll have a pair of turntables, spare CDJs, and a controller, and everybody's going at the same time. And we try to just like match each other and have fun. And one's cutting, one's giving samples, the other one's mixing. And then you switch it up, and it's like we communicate by taps. It's the funniest thing. Like if I'm DJing with like DJ Exis and I slide over and I'm like, yo, and I like a double tap, he'll know, okay, I'm gonna stop and go. We never even made up like a formula to it. It just happens. So it's pretty cool seeing other DJs have this same this vibe and this really cool thing, man. I think it's so awesome. What would you say is the most important element of the business for your career as a DJ? Like what? I know you have like a big career part of the business, but there's also the business side in which you brought in the Rich Group, right? Like how would you say that pivot is, or would you say that it's better to have the business side of it, or would you just be better off as an independent DJ, doing clubs and celebrity sets and all that jazz?
Well, I think your question might be insinuating that I own the Rich Group, but I'm just a DJ on the roster, which is a very common mistake. A lot of people think that I specifically am a partner or an owner of the Rich Group, and that's
Okay.
because I learned many years ago when I actually became an artist on the Rich Group. I realized that the more DJs that there were collaborating and working together, the more noise we could make as a group. But I think the most important part, going back to your question, is to make a lot of noise about the product that you're presenting in the marketplace. So the product I'm presenting in the marketplace is DJ Konflikt. So how do I make the most amount of noise? Mixes, pictures, videos, battles, putting things on social media, anything that accents and pushes my product, which is DJ Konflikt, up higher and to more minds, then that is something that will pay dividends literally in the future in regards to business and how much money you're making in that business. So there's the business side of it, like you mentioned, and then there's the artistic side. Like it's still music, so it has to be beautiful, it has to be nice, it has to be great. It has to have sense, it has to have taste, it has to have quality, you have to be good at it. But also, there's a business side, so you have to be able to sell that beautiful, artistic, incredible quality that no one else can do. So make noise. That's the most important thing, and not just any kind of noise, like not unwanted or negative attention, but just make noise with your product.
That's a really good answer. One of the other things that I saw in another interview that you had was don't stop no matter what. Don't let people persuade you or intimidate you or change your mind. As if you stop moving forward, you stop that forward momentum, then you're letting people beat you. And I think that was the best thing I've heard, in that interview. I think it was much needed. You know what I mean? Like, people need to hear that. Like, the same things that you went through, I think a lot of DJs go through. The family's always behind you saying, hey, this is a hobby, this is not a career, like just those things that, I've heard personally. It was great to hear another DJ feel the same way, and you've taken the business side to another level, especially in the club world. I saw RZ Spins do the same thing, and I used to spin with RZ and, DJ Zog and all these guys, and they took the club levels, and I took a different route. I took the corporate business route, and we all have our successes in our fields, but the common thing in between us is that we didn't stop. We pursued to the maximum height, and we're still learning, and we're still growing, and we're helping the next generation up. Which brings me to my next thing. Like, I mean, you have the DJ group that you started on Club Killers, right?
So yeah, Club Killers is it is a record pool where you can download music, you can become a member. They have merch, they have shirts. They're based out of Las Vegas. They've been in business for a while, and they're a record pool like any other record pool. If you're a DJ, you know what a record pool is. But for the uninitiated, a record pool is where DJs go to download music, specifically for DJs, and sometimes by DJs, if not always by DJs. And there's been this year, obviously, because of the COVID stuff that's been going on, there's been a push to live streaming. And with the Club Killer platform, we decided to start live streaming as a group, and we chose Mixcloud to be for now, primary stage for the live streaming. So every day of the week, there's a show on Club Killers, whether it be DJ Digital Dave on Tuesday, DJ Kova also has a show on Tuesday, I believe. You get Jay Valentino has a show on Thursday, Strategy and Dolo. There is DJ Earwax on Monday. DJ DeVille does the Vegas Club Night on Fridays. I do Saturday nights, which is the Miami Club Night. And then Sundays, there's a show that is called the Sunday School, where I just break down techniques and fun things that I'm coming up with in my set, my routines. And it's kind of like an instructional show specifically catered to people that might want to learn how to do things.
Okay. All right. That's super awesome, man. And for any DJ that's looking to do so, where would be the best place for them to go? I know there's a lot of up and coming, DJ talents here in Miami.
So there's two different websites that I would recommend you guys check out. First would be clubkillers.com, and then on Club Killers you can become a member if you'd like, and you can download a bunch of edits and cool stuff that's not available anywhere else for DJs. Every DJ pool will have its own unique contributors and unique edits that you can't get anywhere else. But now there's actually a slider on the Club Killers website that will indicate when somebody's going live. So you can be cruising and like looking up different songs, and all of a sudden it says, hey, Conflict's going live, and you can click on it and it'll take you to the second website, which is mixcloud.com/Club Killers altogether. And that is the stream page where the live streaming happens for all the Club Killer shows.
Right on, man. And I'm part of the group, so I actually downloaded your crate. So I have your Club Killers crate that was curated on there. Yeah, man, I love it. It was perfect, bro.
I don't remember what that was, but I remember doing it. This was probably maybe months or years ago at this point. They asked me to do a crate. I forget what it was called.
It just had your name and it said DJ Konflikt, and it had your post of one of the pictures that you sent me. And I remember digging through the crate, and it was not that long ago, to be honest with you. They had it as like one of the premier, when you go into Club Killers, they give you like crates that are, really popular or trending. Like right now, I think they have the TikTok one. They have a few others. And basically what it is, guys, for those DJs out there, if you're looking for the best TikTok songs, they'll have a crate specifically built and tailored towards, some of the best TikTok song remixes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Konflikt has one out there, and it's super dope. I actually have a crate in my Serato named Konflikt Crate. So, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah. As a veteran that has done so much, what do you wish or hope to give back to those who are just getting started, or who may be struggling to reach their goals?
Well, that's an interesting question. The first thing that my mind yelled at me was, don't give anything to someone that's struggling that they don't ask for. A lot of times you got to end up helping yourself. So you can't teach perseverance. You just have to act on it. So sometimes you're going to end up hitting a wall, and you got to find a way to break through it. No matter what anybody says, you're not going to find the right words. What you got to do is find your personal hammer and break through that wall. Whether it be sleeping less or sleeping more, whether it be saving money or spending the money, everybody's case is going to be individual. So all I would want to give them is technical advice on potentially DJing. Like, this is how I would do this transition, or give them advice on some of the things that I've done that have been helpful to me. Get an accountant. But as far as
that's a big one, bro.
As far as giving them anything, I would want them to figure out the path as much as they can by themselves, but know that it is possible. That's the thing. That's what I would want to give anybody that's coming up. It is very possible to make money off of this and have it be your only source of income, or it should be your primary. It can be your primary. You should have multiple streams of income, but it can be your primary source of income. It's real. It's possible. I know many, many guys that have made this their career, and no matter what anyone says, it's possible. It's just up to you to get there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a perfect answer, man. You mentioned CPA or an accountant. Have you ran into some trouble before with that? I mean, is it, or was it just like, I'm losing too much money on my taxes, or I'm not being able to advance because I'm not doing those certain things? I always ask these guys these questions because, I'm always trying to teach people the business side of it, because it's really, really important. Like, in my opinion, having the talent is one thing, but learning the business side is a whole nother thing. It's like being a rapper or an artist and not knowing your craft. You're gonna get walked over.
I agree. So to answer the first part of your question, no, I was just very lucky that a lot of this came through my, I guess, my workspace when I was young in life. So when I'm 21, 22, actually I might have been 20. So I started working for Mansion on South Beach, working the back room, and I send they're like, you have to send us an invoice.
Yeah.
Okay, what the heck is an invoice, right? So I looked that up, whatever. Oh, an invoice. Okay, so I tailor an invoice and I send it in, and they're like, we can't pay you personally. You have to have a corporation. We don't, we pay independent contractors. We can't pay you directly, because then there's some sort of a liability that they come into. I guess if they pay an individual a certain amount of money, then there's a taxable event or whatever.
Then they got to give you a W-2, et cetera, et cetera.
So you're like, go get incorporated. So I'm 20 years old, and that's when I incorporated my first business, and I never had any tax problems. specifically because I got lucky that the place that I happened to be working at said incorporate. So once I incorporate, then the next obvious step is, hey, Mom, what the heck happens now that I've incorporated? She goes, I don't know, talk to an accountant. So I talked to an accountant. I said, okay, you talk to your family, you get referred to somebody that the family's worked with before or something like that, and you go and you say, hi, I have a business. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, back then there wasn't like, a plethora of information on Google like there is now.
There was some. It wasn't. It also wasn't like the dark ages, but we're talking 2005, 2006. So there's enough information out there, and show up, and the guy's like, no problem, bring me this, bring me that. This is what we're gonna do, and then we start getting your taxes in line. So every year that I've had,
you just showed your age. You're about my age. You're 33, 34.
I'm close to there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. It's funny. I thought you were a little older.
No, man. So
it's COVID. It's COVID.
I just woke up from a nap too.
Nice.
So I set an alarm for 4:45, and you're like, "Hey, are you online yet?" And I'm like, "So
leave me alone."
Yeah, there was never
snooze.
An accountant. Yes, met multiple snooze. Accountant has always been present for me, thankfully. So it's never been an issue.
No. So if you guys are out there and you're looking for an accountant, I know a few, so you're more than welcome to hit me up. Shout out to DJ LS in the building, Josh Rubin from the Event Factor, and a few other DJs. Michael Phil, what's up to you guys? There's quite a few of you in the chat line. Don't be afraid to ask your questions, guys. This is what Pass the Mic is all about. Make sure you jump on and ask those questions while we have Konflikt on here, man. He's an open book. He's been super awesome. The little bit of chit-chatting that we've had, behind the scenes, he's very open, and he didn't even want the script. Normally we send out a script. He's like, do it live. We're doing it live. So it was pretty cool. Let's push along here. How long do you hope to continue DJing for? I mean, like, is this gonna be like a DJ Laz? I'm 50 years old, still throwing down, or do you think it's just you're gonna keep going till the wheels fall off?
Well, first of all, DJ Laz is a legend, and if he does it until the day he's 85, I think that we will all be greatly served by having him be an ambassador of our community. Not just the DJ community, but the South Florida community and the musical community. So, there are certain people that are timeless, and no matter how much time passes, they can continue this career. I feel like I'm in the specific lane of aesthetic of premium, high-priced venues and situations. So there's a certain aesthetic that goes along with that. Thankfully, you just mentioned I might look a little old, but thankfully I'm still relatively young. But at some point, the body starts to deteriorate, right? And
I feel you. We can't help
what we look like. I don't want to be in a room looking like a hard 45 years old with a bunch of 21-year-olds spending thousands of dollars on alcohol. I don't think that that's the proper place for me to be in. I don't think that's an aesthetic that a nightclub would want. Now, who knows what the future is going to hold, right? Because maybe DJing just becomes a hobby by then. Maybe it's something that is no longer, sorry if you hear those beeps, but something that's no longer a primary source of income. Who knows what happens with nightclubs? Who knows what happens if we end up getting a second wave of COVID and they have to shut everything down again? If the virus mutates and gets more aggressive, or if it mutates and it gets less aggressive, there's different paths. There's forks in the road. So at this point, I would just say that I'm going to continue to do it as long as I can make a living off of it. But if there comes a point where I can't, whether it be because of me, my appearance, my lack of keeping up with music, my lack of effort, my lack of ability, if there are DJs that come up that are better than me, nothing lasts forever.
Right.
If the market is there and the market wants me, then I'll continue to take money from the market and contribute to it in every way I can.
Well, that was a real professional answer. Do you have anything else like on the side that you would pursue? Do you have any other passions, any other hobbies?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
This has been my life for the last 20 years. So there's nothing there. I guess nothing's cooking, but the heat just
Right.
got turned on. I'm going. I am back involved in the university system, so potentially I'm trying to figure out what I would like to do, because I have
Okay.
a certain number of credits, need a certain amount more. I'm like at that point where I have to decide what I'm actually going to end up doing. I have like personal hobbies that I enjoy doing, things that I've done for a really long time, but they don't pay as much.
Right.
There's less structure involved with that kind of stuff.
Any
So-
aspirations to anything though?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I know how much work it takes to become successful at any one thing. So the one thing that I pick has to be a thing that I have to really enjoy. It's tough to grab somebody that's in their early 30s and say, hey, you've done everything that you've wanted to do since you were 15 years old. You've never had a boss. You've made money with very little effort because you love what you do. But now go sit in a cubicle and do this. Or now go do a thing that you don't love as much for money. So I hope that it doesn't come to that. But whatever it takes for me to do what I have to do is what's going to happen. But I enjoy having a choice.
I could see how the dilemma is there, and I'm getting this vibe like you haven't found what you would love just as much as DJing yet, or maybe you have like a hobby that just doesn't kind of fit the bill.
In regards to payment, yeah, I would say that's actually right. So, I like combat sports. I like fighting. I like kickboxing.
You like MMA? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I've done a bunch of different martial arts over the last 12, 13 years. I've done judo, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. I've taken these arts individually, marksmanship. So I enjoy the marksmanship.
We can hang out, bro. We can hang out.
So I'm actually, I am now, during the pandemic, I had some downtime, so I became a certified instructor so I can actually teach.
IFA.
Basic,
Cool.
Yeah, basic pistol safety, basic pistol shooting, things like that. That's something that I enjoy. I don't know why. It's kind of violent, but I guess, deep down inside, I'm kind of a Viking, and I just enjoy like being a man. So
Yeah.
those are all things that I really enjoy. But to actually push those into a career is like starting a platform from scratch. And I know how much work that takes. So that if I have to do that, that means that I don't have time ever again for DJing. That's how my brain is processing it anyway. Maybe there's a middle ground for it right here.
Yeah, I don't think you have to do that, man. Honestly, I've found a lot of ways to pivot through a lot of things, and I think you might be overthinking it. Like, I did 5 years in the military. Most people don't know that unless they watch my show or know me really, really, really well. Now the thousands of people that are listening, know that. But here's the thing. In the military, I did what you're doing now, and I enjoy it. Like, I actually enjoy, going out there to the range and, learning how to do certain things. I got, expert in one and sharpshooter in the other. And it's really, really, it's an interesting sport, and it's really fun. It's actually kind of relaxing at the same time, just like MMA. I've done a couple years of MMA as well, IFA, and I get it. Like, I really do. I enjoy the I guess, quote unquote, manly things. You know what I mean? I love building cars and stuff like that. And I get what you're saying as far as the money, but it's kind of like the same thing that you said before as far as DJing. If you aspire to it and you love what you do and you love it and you get the passion for it, the money will come. That's how I've always felt about it. There's different avenues to make money, and I'm sure you felt it. There's certain club aspects that are not as good as the outside world aspect. At least that's how I felt. Getting a 20 days before they're going to pay me, net 20, net 30, whatever the case may be, at a club. And they have thousands of dollars tied up with me, and then they're complaining about the bar didn't do so hot or whatever the case may be. That's not my favorite thing. And I've done Cameo, Mansion, and all these other clubs too. And, I've had my own share with, different clubs, and I'm not going to mention any, names specifically, but that they've had trouble paying, and they're big name clubs. Again, I'm not going to mention some of those names, but, this is why I ended up going to the corporate world. I I still get to do what I love. It's just different, you know. It's just a little bit different. Sometimes I miss the clubs and stuff like that. You know, there's like a cool aspect to it, but at the same time, I got to a point in my life where I didn't really care about the cool aspect, which I guess brings me to my next question. Do you think DJs are evolving into something better, or do you think that they should like start on turntables and, you know, they're not a real DJ until they've done this and done that? Or, you know, how do you feel about that whole movement? I mean, there's people on both sides of the fence on this.
Oh, I think, in my opinion.
Oh, here we go. The underwriter.
In my opinion, I don't care what you DJ on. If you found a way to make things work on a single computer with a virtual DJ or a controller, or you have a cool piano setup with a drum kit and no music, and you make your own music and you play at a club and people dance and enjoy it and someone's willing to pay you for it, you're fine in my book. If the market calls for it and it's working, who's to say no? It's music, right? There's some rules, but there's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be freedom of expression, freedom, creativity.
Right.
Imagine if you sat there listening to Jimi Hendrix as he's like playing with that guitar, and you're like, that's not how you do it. You're doing it wrong. If you want to be a real guitar player, you got to do it this way. Oh my God, you would have crushed one of the greatest guitar talents that ever existed. Jimi Hendrix died at 27 years old, and he left inspiration to this day for every guitar player on the planet.
Yeah.
So, no, it doesn't matter. You can play on whatever you want to play and play however you want to play it, as long as somebody wants to hear it and it makes sense in the form.
Do you think that you know there's something important about getting the fundamentals though?
Yeah, of course. If you don't get the fundamentals, you're never going to be better than someone that does. That doesn't mean that you can't potentially have a place in the market.
I think that's where the confusion comes, because there's some people that like don't have the fundamentals and do very successful. We've all seen it. I mean, Paris Hilton. Yeah. There's a punch. Go for it.
I played with Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Paris Hilton is a sweetheart. She's very nice, and she really cares about it.
Yes.
And not only did she come prepared, she played off of a controller, but she came prepared. She had her notes.
Right.
She had notes with her. She had transition notes written down.
Okay.
What does that tell me? It's like a set list, right? Like bands that go out there, they want to make sure they remember. Like having a little bit of notes, that means what? Preparation. You care. You're doing a good job. Right?
You know, here's the thing though. She doesn't have the fundamentals though. You're a good DJ, bro. Let's get down to brass and tack. You're a very good DJ.
She doesn't necessarily need to have fundamentals because she sells tickets at the door. So it comes down to the business aspect, and there's like a marriage of the art versus the business. Okay. She don't need no fundamentals because she's selling more tickets than DJ Konflikt. The end.
Jersey Shore, you know, but I remember when they were coming to us and asking us, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And again, you know, I hate name dropping, but at the same time, these guys didn't get the grind in. And I think that's why the culture of the DJ culture kind of, you know, shames them. You know what I mean? Like I find it to be.
They're one-offs. Those things are one-offs. Paris Hilton is not going to play at my local club every day of the week.
Right.
So what does that leave? That leaves me the opportunity to do it. Maybe she'll play there once a year. Right. Maybe Pauly D's playing at the club once a year. Oh no, who cares, man? Just open. Look, if Pauly D's there and I'm opening, I'm gonna do a great job opening, and I'm gonna do a great job closing. Pauly D's gonna come on, make his 25 or 50 grand or whatever he's getting paid these days. And it might not technically make a lot of sense, but people are gonna stand there and watch, or they would have, you know, if it's 2011 or whatever, and he's going to get his payday. The club gets the sales report at the end of the night and goes, hey, we crushed it at the bar. We crushed it at the door. Guess what? I have a job for another 6 months. Thank you, Pauly D. See you next year.
Exactly. I hear you. I have to play devil's advocate on it. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I used to have the old school mentality until like a couple celebrities came in here and talked to me about, you know, some of the things in in the exact same way that you mentioned it. Jimi Hendrix was your example, but their example was, with the new wave of I guess trap music, like new hip hop era or whatever, mumble rappers. They're still making their money, they're still getting it. Maybe we, as I guess quote unquote old heads, don't like it, or whatever you want to label it. I have my preferences. There are some that I do like, some that I don't, but I play it to the crowd. That's what I got to do. I'm sure you've played tracks that you're like, it's not my favorite, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't particularly like WAP, but I got to play it because it's the hottest thing in the market,
I feel silly playing WAP, that's for sure. But if it works, it works.
Exactly. And I almost feel like it's almost, I don't know, like in my opinion, and again, this is an opinion base, just like you said, it's like it's a bite off of Uncle Al, and it bothers me. You know what I mean? Like Uncle Al, legend. You know what I mean? You just took a sample from him, and like, I don't know, maybe he would have liked it. I don't know.
I understand what you're saying, but if Uncle Al's estate owns that sample, they can't use it without permission, which means if Uncle Al's estate is the owner of that sample, and let's just assume that Uncle Al's estate is the owner of that sample. I don't know if he was signed to a major record label, pardon my ignorance, but if he wasn't, and that WAP song is providing his family and whoever is left, the descendants, the holders of that estate, with income. So, okay, maybe he wouldn't have liked it, but he's not around right now, and his estate is, so maybe they're seeing money, and that's keeping the family happy.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, right? But in the culture world, and I hear
don't assume the worst.
Yeah, no. In the culture world, though, like as far as the culture of music, me being passionate about music, I'm sure you're the same way. There's just certain things that you kind of just, I don't know. I don't know. Just leave them alone. They're classics for a reason. Just
I can understand that. I feel like most of Michael Jackson songs don't need a remix, and sometimes when I hear them, just wasting your time.
Tell me about the creative side of that, though. I know that you make your own remixes and redrums. Like, tell me about that creative side.
So edits in regards to DJing, I learned from my one of my production partners, Joe Maz, a long time ago. I would watch him play, and he would play a bunch of edits of songs, and I was like, what is this guy doing? And then I realized after watching him DJ just a few times that he would tailor the song specifically how he needed them. So I was a dummy, and I would just show up, download a song, and play it. But Joe would download a song, edit the song how he wanted it, meaning, okay, maybe the intro's here, then it goes into a chorus instead of the verse. Maybe we go straight into a break. Maybe it's just a little instrumental section. Maybe it's just an acapella section, and then there's an outro. So he's making his own edits. And I'm looking at it like, wow, he's not playing anything straight from the record pools. He's playing everything as an edit. And that's when I realized that, wow, man, I have that same ability. And having worked on Pro Tools and Ableton for a majority of my DJ career, making mixtapes for myself, and I used to ghost produce mixtapes for people that like put out hip hop mixtapes. Doing that, I had I had a general knowledge of how to use a DAW, which allows you to manipulate music and make things how you want them to be. So I started making my own edits, and that's the majority of my set in the club will have 4, 5, 6 of those edits per hour, if not more, that are nowhere because they're just mine. And that's one of the things that I think might have helped set me apart, just the fact that I have stuff that doesn't regularly get played because I've made it all. And then the production side of it, Joe Maz and I worked together for maybe 2 years, nonstop cranking out remixes and independent projects. And what I realized was that unless you're handpicked by a record label to be the champions of that record label, it's very, 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 very difficult to make it in the music business. It's the example that I used to use is throwing a dart at a bullseye 100 yards away. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
Some people are able to throw the dart and then it lands in that bullseye the first throw. But that's a lot of luck, right? And then if you're not that lucky, how many darts do you have and how much time do you have to hit that bullseye? Because there comes a time where the amount of time that you spend trying to make it would greatly outweigh what the reward is going to eventually be, considering the fact you're never going to hit that bullseye.
Right. No, I mean, and I hear you, bro. You nailed it. You hit the bullseye. All right, you hit the bullseye on that one. Man, everything that I threw at him, he's like super professional, man. I'm stunned. I'm shocked myself at, like, you know, your ability to be able to handle the questions in an extremely business fashion. If I had I would have never guessed, honestly. I would have never guessed that you had such a good grasp on the business side of things, because I got to see the club world, and it's not normally like that. So kudos to you. I congratulate you on that, man. That's awesome. I try to teach other DJs the same thing that you're saying, and it's really awesome to see. Really, really awesome to see. You mentioned Ableton and Pro Tools. What's your go-to?
At first it was Pro Tools, but then afterwards it was Ableton because of the facility in warping.
Right.
Pro Tools, you had to take courses and stuff, and it was. I feel like you might be able to do more on Pro Tools if you.
It's like the Samsung. It's like a Samsung.
Good at it. I don't have any Samsungs. I wouldn't know the reference. But.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the Samsung that has like a plethora of things that you could do with it, or like there you go, PC versus Mac. You know, Mac is like really simplistic. It shows you what to do, and then PC you can manipulate everything, but you got to go through a few more steps.
That's probably a very apt description. And I needed to warp because I needed things to shift, and it was real easy in Ableton. It was like pitch up, pitch down. I'm done. And in Pro Tools, you had to like know specific formulas and stuff to make things happen. So to me, it's been Ableton since maybe year 2 or 3 of my endeavor.
When did you get started on it?
2006 or 7.
2006 or 7? Man, bro, I gotta link up with you, man. I gotta do a jam sesh with you for sure. Like, that's gotta happen. I've been trying to get more onto the editing. Shout out to Eddie Alexander. I don't know if you know who Eddie Alexander is. Emmy winning. He was the Dolphins director of music and everything for the Miami Dolphins and then the Miami Marlins. He is the project manager for the Mix Group on radio. So he does all the producing for the IDs on the Mix Group for the radio. So all the radio IDs, and he's been putting me on, man. He's been putting me on game. I've gotten Ableton. I've been practicing with it, but you know what the thing is that, like you said, I took a lot more part of the business side, and I kind of lost a little bit of touch with the DJing part, and I wish I would just be able to hone down on it. LS has told me, he's like, bro, you'd be a monster if you would just practice. Like, if you were just to like go back into it and like really, really practice a lot more. And, I just kind of flooded myself with the event part of it, the actual industry part of it. And I enjoy it, though. I can't say I don't enjoy it as much as I do in DJing. There is a passion I have for DJing, like big time, especially like, doing big crowds and stuff like that. I got to do the 2020 Super Bowl. That was really exciting. Somebody like me who is a nobody, I'm not a Konflikt. I'm not a obscene. I've had my little time here and there, but to be able to, get a job like that and, rock a crowd like that, it was really aspiring. You know what I mean? Like, you get this sense of accomplishment. And I really, really want to practice for a 3-style. Like, that's my ultimate goal. I want to leave my little mark in the DJ world. I want to do a 3-style. So I figured if I could.
They don't pay you to win anymore, right?
I know, but it's cool. You know what? It's like you said, like if you put your mind and focus into it and you do it, it's a sense of accomplishment for me. It's like my little mark in the world. That's how I feel about it.
I think you are leaving your mark in the world. A lot of times, as individuals, we might not notice, but the things that you do, maybe a small interaction, maybe just this podcast, maybe renting gear to somebody, something that might seem simple to you sparks something unknowingly to somebody else, and you end up leaving more of a mark. I would caution you about wanting to leave a mark while holding a trophy up in the air, because that's your ego saying, I want to be important. I want to be the number one, right? But
you got deep on me.
number one might not be holding up that trophy. Maybe somebody needs a piece of gear and you lend it to them one time and they end up not being able to pay you, but it sparks a DJ career, and then it feeds them for 20 years, and that's worth more than a picture of you holding up the #1 trophy, right?
Holy smokes, dude. You sound like LS right now. You guys would just hit it off like right off the bat, telling you, yo, that's crazy. He's always telling me, he's like, yo, you're so good at this though. It'd be crazy if you went back and, you know, this and that. And he's like, but if you really want to, you know, come practice, come do this, and, you know, we'll set it up. And he's so awesome. I got Rainier on here giving you, you know, the waving hands and stuff. He's like, yo, he left me in your heart for sure. Yo, Konflikt went so deep. I was like, damn, that hit my soul. He's like, I'm holding a trophy. Bro, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I really do. I really appreciate that. You're an awesome guy, man. Really awesome guy. Really, I tip my hat to you, bro. Honestly, I don't think I've had another DJ in here. Sandy, you ever heard another DJ come in here like that? Yo, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Konflikt, I am impressed. Let's go into some world topics. You want to have some fun?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So before we do that, I'm going to go into a segment called This or That. All right, you know the song, you can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. You got it?
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep, there you go. Oh, damn. Look at that. He's going. Produced by. All right, so check it out. You're going to join me on it, all right? We're going to sing it for the first hook, and then we're going to go into it, all right? Here we go. You can get with this.
I'm not singing, but I'll dance.
All right, you go side to side with me. All right, ready? Here we go. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. It's the This or That segment. Here we go with DJ Konflikt. This is how it works. I'm going to ask you a question. You can only pick one or the other, and you're going to tell me why. Everybody on the chat line, you guys are going to do the same thing, all right? Everybody's going to do the same thing. Sandy, you ready? You got to talk into the mic.
Ready.
There we go. All right, here we go. All right, this or that. Would you rather a desktop or a laptop?
Laptop.
Laptop. Why?
Portable.
Portable. Sandy?
Laptop.
Laptop. Definitely laptop here for me, myself. Same exact answer. The portability and being able to take it with you. There is something about a desktop, though. They are a little bit more powerful. They are a little quicker sometimes, but they're making some serious advancements in these laptops. All right, jogging or hiking? First thing that comes to your head. Come on, let's go.
I would say hiking.
Hiking. Why?
Yeah. Because the first thing I think about is being out in nature, far away from the city. Jogging, I would picture myself jogging, you know, around my neighborhood. But hiking, I picture like no cell phone reception.
Bingo. Sandy?
Jogging.
Jogging? Have I ever seen you jog? Do you jog?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? Yeah. Do you lift, bro?
Actually, I do.
Ooh! All right. I'll give it to you. Jogging. Why did you choose jogging, though?
I haven't really gone hiking. So.
All right. So I would definitely choose hiking. Same thing. I am one of those outdoor kind of people. I think that hiking is like backpacking, you know, Japan or something, you know, Asia.
Ooh.
So that would be like hiking for me, backpacking. Honesty or others' feelings?
Honesty.
Okay. You were very quick on that one.
There's no other option. Honesty versus anything else. Honesty's going to win every time.
Even though it may hurt somebody's feelings.
No, it's very unfortunate. You can be honest and be soft,
right?
But whether it hurts their feelings today or in 10 years or, you know, in 5 minutes, it's going to happen anyway. So honesty.
Dope. Sandy?
I agree with Konflikt.
100%. I'm with them on the same thing. All right, so let's see. Everybody's catching up here. I got laptop, hiking, neither. Michael, you got to choose one or the other, brother. One or the other. He's laughing. He's hiking. Hi, Sandy. There you go. You got some love. Honesty. That was the number one answer. Let's go to YouTube real quick. Let's see what we got on YouTube. Boom, 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 boom. Samsung all day. Jogging, hiking. All right. You got people on here. They're agreeing with us. All right. Soup or sandwich?
Soup.
Okay. Soup.
Less carbs.
Damn. All right, Sandy.
Soup.
Yo, you weren't team soup until I showed you soup around here.
Well, now I'm team soup.
All right, whatever. Soup sandwich. I'm going with sandwich. I'm a fat boy at heart, bro. That's just me. Just a fat boy at heart. I don't know. It's hardy. All right. T-shirt or button up? No, I know this answer.
Man, what am I doing? Like,
Just which would you prefer? Which would you prefer? This or that?
No context.
No context.
T-shirt.
T-shirt. I figured. T-shirt. Sandy?
T-shirt.
Button up for me. I like dressing up. It's a thing. I don't know. If I could, I would just do it. But it's just too hot sometimes in Miami. It's just too hot. All right. Wallet or money clip?
Wallet.
Sandy?
Wallet.
Wallet here for me as well. You could just hold more. I don't know. I feel like if I had a money clip, I would lose it. You feel the same way, Konflikt?
No, I have a lot of stuff I like to carry with me. So different credit cards,
Yeah.
ID. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, same way. All right. R&B or techno?
R&B.
Is there a specific that you were thinking of that came to your mind?
There's just R&B is a lot. I think a lot of a wider scope than techno.
Okay.
Techno, I feel, has its place, but if you're asking me my preference without
Yep.
context, I would definitely go with R&B.
There it is. R&B. Sandy. Oh, I know where you're going.
R&B.
I figured. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. R&B definitely has a little bit more flavor as far as, sound, rhythm, et cetera, et cetera. Techno, it's pretty straightforward. You think techno, you could pretty much know where you're going with that. All right, on Instagram, there we go. Bless up, man. You're getting a lot of love on here, Konflikt, bro. People love your answers. All right, so we're done with that. That's this or that segment. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's go into some world topics. You ready for this? This is where it gets a little more serious. This is what Pass the Mic was based on. Basically, we pass the mic to you, and we want to get your opinion on what's going on in the world. And if you have a solution to one of these problems, let us know. All right. So some world topics. We're going to start with the first one. Disney Park to lay off 28,000 workers in Florida and California. So between the two, they've laid off about 28,000 workers. How do you feel about that? And what do you think? Is it the right move? Could we have avoided this?
Well, I think anybody that speculates on whether that's the right move and isn't on the board of directors of Disney is guessing.
Okay.
Considering that they have all of the metrics, the park entrance, the admission, what their year-over-year numbers are like, what it costs to keep those 28 employees on, what the cost is of running that specific business in California, where California has kind of put a choke on Disney. I think Disney, this is very, very unlikely. Unlike Disney, but Disney came out and said that the state of California is part of the reason why they have to actually lay those people off because of the restrictions. So I don't have enough information. I don't sit, inside the room in the office. It sucks whenever there's anybody that's laid off, and 28,000 people is
right.
a lot of people. But I don't know if there would have been a solution, because as a corporation, you got to keep running. Maybe they don't lay off those 28,000 and then they go bankrupt in a year, and then there's 150,000 without a job. Who knows?
Good point. Very good point. Very valid. Very valid point. Miami-Dade reopens at phase 3 with restrictions. Nightclubs will require face mask on the dance floor. I'm sure you're excited about this as well. Are you concerned as far as being a DJ up there?
I'm not necessarily concerned. I'm confused, because they allow things to reopen, but the curfew's 11 o'clock, which was when these things used to open.
Right.
So I don't understand. It seems like not necessarily an easing of a restriction, but a way to hide the fact that things are still closed. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not worried. If you wear a mask and you keep your distance, chances are you're going to be fine.
I feel kind of similar. I think that it's a political move at this point, to be honest. That's my honest opinion. I think it's a political move because, they're trying to get the votes. You know what I mean? Carlos Jimenez and.
But Carlos Jimenez, I believe he's out. He was voted as either senator or.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
House of Representatives.
That doesn't mean anything. Well, they could still. We're still in the in the voting process, so he can get kicked out of the House.
No. There was a vote. I might be mistaken, but I think that senators or the House members. I think senators are every 6 years, and members of the House of Representatives are every 2 years that you vote. But I specifically know that the Miami-Dade mayor is going to be between Bobo and Daniela Cava. So that means that Jimenez is out, and I believe he became a senator because it was a recent election or a member of the House of Representatives. He's out. He's gone. It's a lame duck session. He's on the way out. I don't know if it's politics, honestly. I think somebody said something, they're like, watch, after the election in November, it's all going to clear up and everything's going to chill. Who knows, right?
I kind of believe it, bro.
Really bad timing, really good timing.
I really do. I did hear some other things though. Doing some events for Jackson, they kind of let me in on a little tidbit that over in England they're having like a third wave, so kind of scary. I would hate to see a third wave. Honestly, that would be horrible. Horrible.
As far as I understand, they're having another flare up, and I think it has to do with flu season and getting colder and people sneezing, people coughing.
Right.
I don't know. At this point, I have taken up on like a wait and see approach because there's too many obstacles in the road, I feel, right now. But the good, I think, if we're going to focus on any good news, is that things are starting to at least open up on paper. So
right. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it all works out. I mean, I've always felt like at this point, since it's been this long, the percentage of people surviving this is higher than the percentage of those. Unfortunately, I mean, a lot of times you can just catch it and get the antibodies and keep moving forward. So it's either open the floodgates or close the floodgates. One of the two. This half opening stuff it's just prolonging.
Well, I think just nobody had planned for this thing. Nobody had a good idea on what this would be like. So I think everyone's just doing their best. I don't think that there's any necessarily bad intentions. I hope that there isn't. But I think it's just, this is how, government is very ineffective in a lot of ways. And this is just another example of it.
All right. That's a good answer. I think, everybody's going to have their little thought on it. It's one of those unknowns. So here's some good news. Miami Heat wins the semifinals, going to the 49th Street with pots and pans in celebration, forgetting a pandemic is going on. That's some good news. People celebrating the Heat. How do you feel about it? You a Heat fan?
I'm not a sports guy, really.
At all? Like none? No sport at all? Except for MMA. Except for MMA. Yeah. Who's your favorite? Before or after? Favorite. Before or now? Before or now?
Whoever fights with good technique and puts their heart out there. That's my
Zero favorite. None. Like nobody in the whole entire thing.
No, man. I'm not. I don't like rooting for things. I like watching and enjoying sports and not sports, but MMA specifically. And sometimes I'll watch a soccer game or a tennis match, or I'll watch basketball and I'll be like, wow, that was great. But it's not something that I am invested in. I enjoy it for the athletic exposure. I enjoy it for seeing things that I can't do and watching somebody do something really epic. But I'm not upset if somebody with the same name as where I live loses.
Right. Okay. All right. I look at athletes and I aspire to them. Like, Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? Like he was so talented, and he was very motivated by competition, and it inspires you. His whole story. And there's other athletes that kind of inspire me, and so I really like them. Even in MMA.
I can totally see that. But I mean, you're talking about the outliers of the outliers. Like Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever, is definitely somebody to look up to, because what he was able to accomplish, no one else has ever accomplished.
Well, some would really fight that with LeBron. A lot of people would fight with you, but I think it's just he's an OG. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things.
I'll tell you why I feel my personal pick will be Jordan, regardless.
Okay.
And obviously you have everyone's top three would be Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, right?
Not everybody. I'm telling you, I've had guys on the show that are like, no, I don't put Jordan up there, you know.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, I've watched games, and just as an uneducated, casual fan,
right?
The intensity with which Michael Jordan played is the reason why I like him the most and why I think he's the best. Because if somebody were to shoulder Jordan, he would not flop all over the place and throw himself on the ground. And to me,
I like this
that
guy.
is something. That's
you
something
gotta come back on the show, bro. We gotta do this live, like.
You know, if we're talking like if we're playing like a man sport, and I hit you with my shoulder, and you do this thing, it's like, oh my goodness, I see weakness. So to me, Jordan would drive through, let you hit him, dunk it in your face, and stick out his tongue, and that's why he's the greatest. It
was different then.
1 second.
Yeah, go
hold
on.
on. Why don't you bounce something to Sandy? It's 6 o'clock. I can stay, but I have to take care of something real quick. Let me go.
Okay.
2 seconds.
You got it. No worries.
And I'll be right back. Okay.
No worries.
Okay.
So there you go, guys. Konflikt on the line right now. You know, he's a super busy guy, so we're really happy to have him on. You know, for anybody who's out there listening to the show, please, if you have a question, we're you know in the World Topic segment. If you have a question for Konflikt, ask it now. You have the opportunity. I'm giving you the mic to ask whatever you want to this man. He is a plethora of knowledge, as you can see. Super humble pie, man. He's definitely he's different, right, Sandy?
Definitely different.
Definitely, like super. You know, I don't know. I get this like. He's got this business side, but he's so mellow.
He's
but
very
yet,
humble.
He's like super humble, and he also enjoys the outdoors, and you know he's got his own little vibe to himself. Right. You know, he's like very to himself, and he's very reserved. I would say that's the best word. Very reserved. I wonder what it's like to have conflict with a couple of drinks. Do you think a different side would come out?
I think so.
You think a different side would come out?
That would be interesting.
All right. So then there you go, guys. Again, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Konflikt, this is your grand opportunity. A shout out to DJ LS. He sent me a bunch of questions beforehand. I know that I've hit on a lot of those questions. And there was a few others. I know that M. Dot might be watching. M. Dot, if you're watching, bro, please ask those questions, man. I know he's one of your favorite DJs, so it'd be great to hear from you as another amazing DJ out in the market, being able to ask those questions. You know, Konflikt, we have a video I posted up on our social media page. We stitched a bunch of the stuff that he has on hopefully he's all right, on Venmo. And basically, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna mute his mic for right now. I think that would be the right thing to do. No, it's all good. I just want to make sure nothing comes out you don't want it to come out. So I'm just gonna mute you for the time being. Let's see where we at.
That reminds me of the
show.
show.
There we go.
I'm back. So listen.
Because back on. Is he back on? Is he back on? Hold on. Let me see. I think he's back on. Here we go. Are you back on?
So what you're hearing? Here's the thing. It sounds weird, but let me explain. I pulled the chicken out of the freezer because I got a text message that we're having chicken.
Was it a live chicken?
I had to pull out of the freezer. And what? Was
it a live chicken?
No, it used to be live, but now it's just frozen.
Now
it's a frozen chicken, and I had to put it in the sink with a little bit of water to unfreeze it so we can have dinner. So that's the noise you were hearing.
Gotcha. No, we just recently did an event, and I'm not gonna say who it was, but anyways, he had a lapel on, he had a headset, and he went to the restroom,
nice.
And so all you hear is it was hilarious, man. It was awesome. All right, so let's get back into it. I know you're running out of time, man, so I want to just run through this really quickly. I really appreciate your time. Everybody on here is chiming in that you're a real gentleman's gentleman. So let's get to it. All right, a female Eminem fan has set the record for having 16 tattoos of Slim Shady's face on her body. I know you got a few tats. You got any celebrities on there?
No, but I have a picture that is, I guess, a celebrity. One of my favorite bands when I was a teenager, the lead singer put out an illustration book of his drawings, and I took one of those, and I thought it was really cool.
You want to share who?
It's like on my ribs.
No, who?
I don't know.
Who it was?
Oh, want to share? Oh, who? The artist? Yeah, it's a band named Incubus. The lead singer was Brandon Boyd.
There you go, Incubus, man, bro. So you've mentioned rock a few times. You're really big into rock, like '90s rock. It seems like too.
Yeah, rock and roll is great, man. Well, all music is great, but I love rock and roll because there's a lot of emotion in it. I feel like with hip hop music, there's a little bit less emotion and there's more of this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done.
Okay.
But rock and roll is like, let me get it all out.
Okay, I can see that. I think it's two different styles. There's definitely hip hop songs that have a lot of emotion into them, but I do like POD, Korn. I went to a Korn concert not too long ago. Slipknot, System of a Down, and then I like some hair bands and stuff like that. So I'm definitely in tune with the rock community, especially when I'm working out or at the gym or something. I got a lot more into country too when I was overseas. So I definitely have an eclectic style when I spin too. I'll go into
that's great.
I go into like different things, like different genre. I'll genre jump a lot, or like wordplay, a hip hop song with whatever. Like, I mean, it could be anything, man. Honestly, funk is another one that I really aspire to. I love funk. Viewers say Trump and Biden debate 2020 was better than reality TV. I mean, did you see the debate at all?
Yeah, I watched.
Did you feel like a dad in the back, like, you know what, if y'all don't behave, like, I'm just gonna slap both of you. You're both going in timeout.
Listen, there was one comment that I feel like encompasses how I felt about it the best, and it really does hurt to actually say it, just because the president and the potential future president, or the current ex-vice president, they're not representative of everybody in this country. I believe it's probably an outdated gig to have, being a president, like being the guy or the woman. It's kind of outdated. I think we used to do that because it was just easy. I mean, man, do you know why we vote on Tuesdays?
Why?
Because voting on the weekend back in the day was a no-go, because you had church on Sunday, right? And Saturday was the rest day from working the whole week in the fields. So you couldn't vote on Monday because people had to ride their horses to the place of voting. So it was a day's travel. So we vote on Tuesdays for that reason, and we still have that rule in effect. So just to show you how antiquated the system is, this doesn't make any sense. We're literally talking via cameras built into computers through fiber optic cable in the same city, but if you were in Japan right now, there wouldn't be any latency anyway. And we still have to have a vote on Tuesday in person on paper. Seems a little outdated. I feel like we could do better. But now, in regards to your question, this was the one thing. Somebody said, we don't know who won, Trump or Biden, but we do know that the American people lost by watching this debate.
Yeah.
That is what I feel.
Yeah, I just, it's sad that that's what we're putting out to the rest of the world, in my opinion.
There's so many people in the world, and those are the two guys. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's disrespectful to be disrespectful as someone who's going to be leading the entire country. You know what I mean? Like, get it together, people. Instead of fighting to answer the question, why don't you fight to tell me how you're going to fix those problems, how you're going to do them? Not tell me that you're going to be the best at it, or you're going to make those things happen. Tell me how you're going to make those things happen, because you listen to the people of America. You listen to their voices, and you reason with them, and you're going to bring the policies that the majority of people voted on to the House, and fight for those things for the people. That's what your job is. Do it. And don't fight with each other. You should be battling it out like a DJ would. You know what I mean? Like, battling it out to tell me how good I'm gonna make this and how I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna lay down this set. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel it should be.
I
Am
understand
I
what you're
off?
saying.
Am I off on that?
No, I don't think you're off. I think everybody has their own perception and their own optic on the situation.
Yeah.
If that's how you feel, then you're entitled to feel that way. And you fought specifically for that kind of freedom. So,
Yeah.
Kudos to you for not just having an opinion, but actually putting yourself in danger's way to be able to give other people like me the freedom to think and feel whatever we want.
I just think that, one of the things too is, bro, it's supposed to be the voice of the people, man. Honestly, it's supposed to be the voice of the people. It's not our government coming up with the decisions and we're just, okay, you know what I mean? Bend over backwards. No, it's the people come up with these things. Take it to the House. The House, you got lawyers and everything else inside of it. And then on top of that, the president is supposed to be the face of the people. You know what I mean? Like he's supposed to, he's supposed to represent us. And it just, I'm so disgusted.
I don't know if that's entirely fair, though, because remember that every election there's, let's say, about 100 million and change people that vote, and it's usually split 50-50. I mean, the results are 50 million one way, 50 million another way.
Okay, but you're talking about political views. You're talking about Democrat versus Republican.
Yeah, but what you're saying is the president's supposed to represent us, and
right.
I feel like that's true, but I think the way that
yeah, but a president could be Republican or Democrat and still have different opposing, views on certain things, or not agree with whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, want to make the people satisfied. That's,
I think what you're saying is the right way to look at it, but I think we're not looking at it right now.
That's what it was on paper. That's what it was supposed to be. That's the American dream. You know what I mean?
Well, I think maybe sometimes we got to update. Maybe we don't need one. Maybe we need like 11 people in charge, and they're all different.
Yeah. Are you non-party affiliated, if you don't mind me asking?
That's absolutely right, sir.
Yes, I am the same way. So, that's another thing that really disturbs me, and I think is antiquated or outdated as well. It's one of these things that I think that I should have the right to vote on the preliminary, even though I don't sway to either side. It actually makes it a leveling playing field.
I think a lot of things can change. And honestly, look, if you put gun to my head, you're like, one thing, change one thing and one thing only, like electoral college or the popular vote or this or that. If there's one thing, term limits.
Term limits
across the board.
What would across the board? Okay, so for the House, Senate, state, legislate, whatever.
Maybe the only one that I wouldn't would be like county mayor.
Interesting.
Because you're talking about like somebody that's directly above,
right?
Because we're all the same, but directly above all the constituents, right?
Okay.
So maybe you get a very particular county that has very strong religious views,
right?
And the mayor knows this. So the mayor, when talking to a governor, says, "Hey, look, we can't do this because my people are this way."
Right.
That's fantastic, right? So you're talking. It's almost like a tribe leader or chief.
Correct.
For the people saying, that's not going to work here because this is how we are.
Okay.
Or that mayor knows that the creek can't be polluted, so when the governor tries to pass something for maybe easing up some restrictions for potential business, the mayor goes, oh, hold on, the thing is that we have this creek and we rely on it. So I could understand a mayor being in office, a local county mayor being in office for a long period of time, because that's one way to get to know people. But when you go anywhere above that, I think there should be term limits for everything above local mayor.
I like it.
Because that way there's no way for people to go sideways in regards to favors and money and political power and things like that.
As the people, how do you think we should approach this? How do you think we can get there? How do you think we can make that one change that you wish you could do? The gun pointed to your head, you have one thing to change. How do we do that, Konflikt? Like, how do we approach that as the people? Do you have like some thought in your head as a solution to this?
It's not necessarily that big of a problem, man. Because the thing is, for as much as we want things to change and for
Okay.
things that are bad, like I look out my window and there's no fighting on my street, and there's nobody
Maybe not
yelling
your
and no
window,
one
but
dying.
there. Maybe not your window, but somebody's window is.
I imagine that there are bad parts of the city, but I drive through a lot of Miami and I don't see places burning and people fighting and shooting each other in the street. I think we're not as divided and we're not as hectic and chaotic as the media might portray us to be. So I don't think that people will really mobilize until there's massive problems, and I don't know that there ever will be massive problems outside of everyone's door.
Interesting.
So I don't know how to answer that question. The
Okay.
idealist in me says we should all work towards being better, not just for ourselves, but for everyone else.
Okay.
But, there's a part of me that's like, I'm worried about my household, my family members, and maybe my neighbors. After that, it gets kind of blurry.
Right.
So
I hope
having
I'm
that
part of your neighbor.
personal stance, having that personal stance, I think it would be a little hypocritical of me to say, we should all look out for each other. It's like, man, I want to look out for you, but I have responsibilities at home.
Right. I hear you. I'm putting that in the box. We have deputy mayors that come into our shop. We have politicians that come in here, and that's what the show's about. And I want to raise those questions. I want to figure it out. Maybe you and I might not be able to figure it out, but with the 22,000 listeners that we have on here, and potentially the many more that are to come, or whoever may watch it in the future, comes up with this really great idea, and we're able to present that, and we make that change. I hope, man. I hope this is where I get to raise that trophy like you were talking about. I hope that
would be the greatest trophy to raise.
There you go. All right, last little questions. All right, I got a few seconds.
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. All right, so here we go. If someone was to break into your house and only steal what's on top of your refrigerator, what would they get?
A few N95 masks, some Rosoni noodles, Sonic the Hedgehog gift bag for the birthday party, and
I love it.
and a half bag of rice.
Bag of rice.
I'm not. This is all. I'm looking.
Yo, can you
Hold on.
can you imagine this guy?
Keep it up.
Can you imagine this guy running out the house with with a Sonic the Hedgehog in his pocket? That would be hilarious, bro. Later on in today's news,
He wasn't
he went to get the Sonic. Yo, can you imagine this guy running down the street with a Sonic the Hedgehog bag
There's the
and a
rice.
bag of rice and ramen freaking noodles? That's funny. Oh, that's too funny. All right, here we go. What personality trait has gotten you in the most trouble?
I can think of two. We spoke about honesty being like number one.
Okay.
That's not something that has always been in my my operating system.
Okay.
I feel like I learned through. I was never like a liar, I lie about everything or pathologically, but I realized that telling a lie every now and then, especially like important things, would get me into more trouble than just being honest.
Okay.
It would end up being worse. Just little things, right? And I think life presented me with that lesson enough times, whether it be personal life, professional life, or any kind of way, that it was just like, this is silly. And thankfully I learned that lesson early, if we all live to be old. So that's one, that it's always the best policy is just honesty, regardless of how much trouble you think you're going to get into. So I have been in trouble for lying or keeping things to myself when I shouldn't have. And then the second one would be that I'm not a kiss ass. It's hard for me to pretend I like somebody if I really don't. Like, I respect everyone unless they give me a reason not to. But I'm not going to go out of my way to be like, hey man, how are you? Yeah, so great to see you. That whole thing that people do, like that Hollywood stuff.
Right.
I don't really do that. I don't have that in me to do. So I think
Okay.
that may have hindered me at some point.
Would you want to change that, or you're just that's you?
No,
And that's it?
I wouldn't. I don't know if that was part of the question, but would I want to change it? Absolutely not. No, I'm happy with it.
I love it. I love it. We're doing it live. I love it. I love it. All right, cool. You know what? At least he's true to himself, man. You can't knock a man for that. What's your go-to guilty pleasure?
I used to like chocolate and sweets and stuff, but I did a weight loss challenge in August, and I've been pretty good since then. So I haven't. It's only October, by the way, but I really haven't gone back to chocolate
Yeah,
stuff.
the chocolate fest is about to begin if we get the green light. October 31st. Conflict going down the street. Chocolate everywhere. You could just follow Conflict in the candy wrappers. What's your go-to chocolate though?
Anything sweet, man. It's not so much the kind of chocolate. It's just my body or my brain craves the sweet.
All
so I think it has to do potentially with I hate to get so scientific about it, but they say that sugar lights up the pieces of the brain that also light up when somebody's addicted to heroin. So sugar is a very addictive substance, and I think my body.
Yeah, you definitely watched the same Netflix series that I did.
Nice.
It was. I think it was like. I don't know if you had seen it, the sugar one. Like
it's possible, yeah.
Yeah. The exact words you just said them. It was So scientifically, yeah. But it was just weird, man. I can't get a favorite out of him. I can't get, no matter what I do, I can't get a favorite out of him.
Like a favorite?
Yeah, like I'm like, what's your favorite freaking chocolate, bro? Is it Kit Kat, Twix? Which one, bro? Like, which is that guilty pleasure?
You know what the thing is, man? I had like a good 4 or 5 years in my early and mid 20s where I did a lot of like self work, and I realized that if you have a favorite anything, or if you like cheer for something or anything like that, it's like I found that there's more peace in just being okay with whatever. I got a Hershey's, I'll eat the Hershey's. I see a Kit Kat, I'll eat the Kit Kat. Or maybe I don't want to eat it, right?
God, I wish I had that.
I
wish I was content with that, bro.
I'm very easygoing. I'd rather live my life without friction, and most importantly, without self-inflicted friction. Because I want this, nothing else. I don't like that feeling.
Damn. God, I wish I had that personality trait. I'm horrible, bro. Yo, you give me a plate of like picadillo and I was in the mood for ropa vieja, I'm pissed. I would have loved the picadillo. Don't get me wrong. I eat it and I'm happy, but you give me some ropa vieja, man, it's on. I don't know about you, but like it's like when people are like, "What's your favorite coffee?" Starbucks, white mocha, chocolate.
Well, okay. We have an espresso machine. My favorite coffee is the Blue Pod, and it's called Audacio. So that's my favorite coffee.
I got one. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I got one on Conflict. There it is. We got it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can conclude this podcast now that I finally got my answer. Yo, Conflict, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show and having some fun with us. Hopefully you like the PTMP crazies. You'll be able to watch this afterwards. For those of you that haven't done so already and you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, whatever the case may be, whichever is your favorite platform, like Conflict has one. Make sure that you check us out live each and every Thursday at 5 o'clock now. That's our new time, 5 o'clock on YouTube. It's Pass the Mic Podcast. So go to youtube.com/Pass the Mic Podcast, or you can definitely find us on Facebook, PTMP Live, and Twitch at PTMP Live. You can also go to our Instagram, and on PTMP Live Instagram, we have a link tree, and you can get all the links on there. If you're completely confused and don't know where to go, ptmplive.com. And if you're trying to find my man Conflict, we're going to put it up on the screen for you right now. Sandy, go ahead and do that. Conflict, why don't you tell them exactly where they can go to find everything about Conflict, where to book you, how to get to you, and tell them, man, tell them what's new for Conflict and where they can find it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. The first thing is, can I have the audio from the show to put on my podcast?
Yes.
So I can kind of plug you. Great. So if you email that to me, I'll put it up as a standalone show, and I'll send me whatever links. And then... By the way, lightning just struck a tree like right outside my house.
Yo, did you hear that?
I heard that.
I was like, yo, he said
doing
there was no
sound
violence outside of his window. He's throwing sound effects. I was like, yo, did you hear that? He's throwing a podcast on top of a podcast.
The one thing that I dislike about that whole sequence is the fact that I said, woo! I Ric Flair the lightning bolt. You give me the audio, I'll put it up on my podcast, which leads me to the first plug, which is my podcast, My Favorite DJ, and that's available on Apple, the podcast app, and Spotify if you search for My Favorite DJ. Also, if you Google My Favorite DJ, I'm the first one that comes up. So any social media platform that you use, Instagram, Twitter, just type in My Favorite DJ, and that's me.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, My Favorite DJ. Go ahead and Sandy, put it down. Right, it's already on there. All right, there it is. Right there, www.myfavoritedj.co. And you can find them on Facebook.
Here's a funny story. That myfavoritedj.com is for sale for $4,750. And that's a little too expensive for, I feel like, one letter, because I have myfavoritedj.co. They want like $4,000 for that M, and I don't know if it's worth that much.
Okay. I'm gonna hook you up afterwards. We'll talk. I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up. We'll figure it out. All right. I'm pretty good with that stuff. I got a whole marketing team that we can make some magic happen. There's been some domains that I've been wanting myself, but we got to get you that. We're gonna get you that M. We're gonna get you that M. All right. Or you can follow him at My Favorite DJ, just like he said. And is there anything else you want to say before we get off?
That's all. Thank you. This show's been great. I really appreciate all the work that Sandy did, changing cameras and adding stuff and taking stuff off the screen. I do know that you're a stickler for audio quality and fidelity and things like that. So the fact that I didn't have a microphone, thank you for your patience. And I do owe you like an in-studio appearance for a future show.
I love it, man. You guys heard it from him yourself. He's going to make another appearance, and we would be honored to have you. It's been amazing having you on the show, and that's not me putting up a facade or anything. I'm really, really genuinely happy to have you up on the show, and it's been, I think it's very eye-opening for a lot of people to get a little bit of taste of who DJ Konflikt is and why you're successful the way you are. I think it shows in your character and the way that you present yourself. With that being said, this is Pass the Mic Podcast. I'm Eddie G, your host, and of course, behind the scenes, little Miss Sandy doing her thing. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out.
Like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at PTMP Live, or visit us at ptmplive.com. Be sure to hit subscribe and turn on your live notifications for more exclusive stuff.